what we are going to do now. We are going to create a use case. Okay, so use case will, what is the purpose of this use case? The purpose of this use case to understand the concept of ADF pipeline. Okay, so as I mentioned you, ADF is nothing but an ETL tool for Azure. Okay, it it is a code free tool. It means you need to perform ETL application without any programming. Okay, in this cloud environment. Fine. So what is our use case? We will first have a sales data which will be available in our CSV file. Okay, so in Azure, so far what we have done, we have created subscription, right? So free trial subscription was created. You can also create a pay as you go subscription. Then within this subscription, we have created a resource group. And why this resource group is required? Because see, subscription is basically, Azure is giving you a lot of services. The services like data science service, AI ML services, ADF services, right? Virtual machine, SQL database. These all are services. Because if you are buying a cloud subscription, you can use any services. How to track that which service you are using? Okay, service is nothing but known as resources here. So if you are using some services related to data engineering, one resource group you can create for data engineering activities or resources, or you can create these groups based on environment also. For example, if you are working for dev environment, quality environment, you can create the resource group. But in short, resource group is nothing but in this you can have any kind of services. So this resource group will be able to track which services you have used, and on the basis of those services you will be charged, right? So we have created a resource group, and under this resource group we have created a storage account so far. And why storage account? Because you have a big cloud environment with you. Imagine this cloud is having 100 terabytes of data, or maybe you can say infinite or unlimited terabytes of data. Now, if you have to store the data within this cloud, right, you should be having one storage account or one partition which will be available only for you. So within this 100 terabytes or unlimited storage, I have created a storage account with some name like ASA, ADLS, okay, whatever it is. So this is the storage account I have created, and within this storage account we have created containers as well. What is the meaning of container? Because this partition is allocated to you because you created a storage account, but within this partition I can create multiple folders. Okay, for example, one container I have created for input data, another container I have created for output data, and this is a simple folder. We call this as a container. Agreed? Right? So this is what we have done so far. So we can see this is the storage account which I'm talking about that we have created. So within this storage account, you can go in this data storage. You can see these are the containers, input container and output container. Right now, nothing is there. Okay. So we have another container, output container. Fine. Now, the next thing is we could have a sales data. So what I have done, I have loaded a sales data for you. This is having 1,000 records. Okay, it's already open. So you can see this is the sales data which I'm going to load in my Azure cloud. This sales data is available in my local machine. Okay. So this is having column like region, country, item type. This is the header, and these are all values. Okay, so far are you guys with me? Okay, now what we will do, we have created ADF also. So in ADF, first of all, we will create a pipeline. Okay. And how to create a pipeline? The first thing is we can let go from the beginning. So step number one, I'm going to list down this step also so that it will be easy for you. First step is to load the CSV file in storage account. Where the CSV file is existing, it is right now in my local machine. Okay. So storage, where storage account is there, storage account is in the cloud. Storage account is in the cloud. This is the cloud. This is the storage account. Inside the storage account, we have two folders, input folder, output folder. We are calling these folder as a container, right? Okay. Now I will go inside the storage account. I will click on the containers. These are the containers, input container and output container. Now you guys, please tell me, if I am loading the data from my local machine, the sales data, where it should go, input or output? Yeah, it should go in input container because we are first loading the data from my local machine. So I will use this upload option. Okay. So in this upload option, I can simply click on browse and I can load this one. Okay. 1000 sales data. And this data I loaded from internet. Okay. So you don't worry, we have a lot of data. Now you can see that this data is loaded. This is a CSV and you can see the blob type is blob. And what is the size? This is the size. If you want to see the data, you can double click on that and you can download also, but I'm not going to download this. Okay. You can go to edit and you can see the data. This is the data preview. Fine. So this is having all the 1000 records available to preview. Anyways, so I'm going to cancel this. So this is already loaded. So you can see now, you can go back and see, one second. This input container is having data. Now output container is not having anything. Okay, let me delete this. Actually, I created this sales. So now output container is not having anything. Fine. Now what I'm going to do is, so your first step completed. Now what is the second step? Now we will log in ADF and try to create a pipeline. And what is the purpose of this pipeline? The pipeline will, so right now you can say you were having sales data in your local system. Okay. Now what you did, you move this sales data into storage account, which is again in a cloud. And this storage account stores this sales data in what kind of file? In CSV file only. Okay. But it is nothing but a blob kind of, the type is blob, or you can say blob or ADLS Gen 2. So remember, whenever you are loading any kind of file, okay, within the Azure in a storage account, right, the type will be blob or ADLS Gen 2. Okay, fine. Now, now what you will do, you will create a ADF pipeline which will extract this data, this sales data from this input storage, input container. So actually we have two containers. One is input container, another one is output container, right? I have kept my sales data in input container. I want to move this sales data from input container to output container with the help of ADF pipeline. Did you understand what I'm trying to do? And why I'm creating this ADF pipeline? Because I want to create a ETL flow which runs automatically. Making sense? Okay. Now let's do this. We will go to home. We will open ADF. ADF is a separate link. We are inside portal.azure.com. This will give you everything which is available within the Azure. Now for ADF, we'll have to click on this Launch Studio. There will be a separate link, open adf.azure.com, and now we have to set up this ADF. So if you see the main page of this ADF, it simply says what are the features it do. It can ingest the data. It can orchestrate the data. Orchestrate means running the pipelines. Okay, running the pipelines means once you created one data, right, one pipeline, it will automatically, you can schedule it, transform the data. As I mentioned, what is the meaning of transformation? Okay, so transformation simply means that if you want to clean the data, if you want to join the data, if you want to create some additional column, if you want to do a filter and so on. Okay, so what we are going to do, this is a home page. This is a author page. In author page, we need to create the pipeline. Okay, so I can walk you through first. This is the author page. In author page, you can see all the pipelines if it is available. As of now, nothing is created, so everything is blank. This is data flow. This is data set, Power Query. So once we carry forward with this course, we will see all the options. Now this is monitor. Monitor is basically when you are running any pipeline. Okay, pipeline simply means it will perform the ETL activity, right? You can do the monitoring, whether it is failed or what is the status, right? Then we have a manage option. We will have to do some setting and configuration, so we can do that with the help of manage. We have something known as learning center. If you want to learn, okay, this will help you also, this is having tutorials, videos, okay, and rest of the other things. Okay, fine. So first thing is we need to manage. Okay, now coming to this slide. So right now our data was there in the CSV file. Now we captured this data within Azure Blob Storage. Agreed. Now next thing is because we have to move this data from, so this Azure Blob is where it is available in my input container. Is that right? So now my purpose is to move this data from input container to output container, right? This is my purpose right now, isn't it? If you see the storage account, I have two container. The data is available in the input container. Now I want to move this data from input container to output container with the help of pipeline. This is my purpose, right? So as per this sheet, I should be having a link services created, right, which can interact with my input container and output container, right? First thing is we need to create a link services. What is link services? Link services is nothing but a connection string. Okay, so you can see this definition. Link services define the connection information to external resource such as database, file system, or cloud service. It means if you have to connect, so simply means, now let's talk about link services in the brief. Okay, now imagine this is the cloud. Okay, this is your cloud. Now if you have to take the data from outside application like SAP, or you can say SQL DB, or you can say any application, right? You have to take the data, ingest the data basically. So to get this data ingested, this cloud should know what is the source. If you're ingesting the data from SAP, there should be a link services created for SAP, right? Because link services contain your connection string, right? So cloud should know from where I am getting the data, right? So one link services will be for SAP, another link services will be for SQL DB, right? Another link services will be for Java application if it is coming from Java, right? So what is link services? Link services stores the connection string, and this connection string will help you to understand from where your data is coming from, right? So link services we need to create. Now this is for external system, okay? But even if you're transferring the data within the cloud, for example, input container is available within the cloud, output container is again available within the cloud, right? So in that case also, this input container, what kind of container it is? It is of container ADLS Gen 2. Okay. So yesterday when I was creating, I just enable the setting for ADLS Gen 2, right? So both container is of type ADLS Gen 2. Okay. So you need to create a connection string, means link services for ADLS Gen 2 first. This is the next important step. Okay. Right. So what is the third step? Third step is to create link services. Okay. Now let's create the link services. So guys, are you with me so far? Okay. So we will go to this manage option. Then we will go to link services. Then we will hit on this new icon. Now here, as I mentioned, what kind of link services it would be? Because we are moving the data within the cloud only, from input container to output container. Input is also within the cloud, output is also within the cloud, and these containers are of type, these are containers built in storage account, and this storage account is of type ADLS Gen 2. It consider the data for ADLS Gen 2 or Azure Blob if it is a file system, right? So we have to create the link services for either Azure Blob or ADLS Gen 2. So better to create both. Okay. So you can say Azure Blob is there. So I used to create both. Okay. What I will do, I will rename this. I will give the name like LS. LS stands for link services, and I will use this word Azure Blob. Simple, right? And then we don't have to do anything. This is auto resolve integration runtime. I will let you know about this. Okay, first we will complete this exercise, then I will let you know about the terminologies. Okay, then we have to do nothing. This is an account key because this is my account, and I'm going to use my account information to log in, right? So from subscription, so I will choose the subscription. This is the only subscription I'm having. If you have 2 or 3 subscription, you can choose whatever you want to use. Now storage account, because this link services is associated with a storage account. As I mentioned you here, within the storage account, we have input container, output container. So this link services, which I'm creating, is only meant for the storage account. So I will choose the storage account also. So if you have 2 or 3 storage account, you will only choose whatever you want to use this. Okay. Now, rest of the things are okay. You just have to hit on this create button and it is successfully created. Okay. Similar way, I'm going to create another link services for ADLS Gen 2. So this is ADLS Gen 2, Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2, right? I just clicked on continue and I'm going to rename this like ls underscore ADLS. Okay, I should keep it in a small letters. Okay, ADLS Gen 2. Fine. Now the same, I will choose my subscription. I will choose my storage account and I will hit this create. Okay. So these 2 link services are created. Fine. Okay. Now you have seen this thing auto resolve integration runtime. Okay. Now what is this? Now I'm going to talk about this as well. Okay. Now so there is something known as integration runtime. Integration runtime. Okay. So imagine if you need to perform any activity means if you have to see a movie, simple, right? You have a laptop, you should be having a laptop, and within that laptop, you should be having a media player. Then only you can see the movie. Is that right? And your laptop should be connected with, would be having some RAM so that your media player should, work. So is it means that to do any performance activity, there should be a system, and system should be up and running, right? So imagine this cloud is there. Cloud is connected with internet. Okay. And if you want to run any job within this cloud, then you are using a system of Microsoft. So Microsoft has set up this system somewhere else, right, in the data centers. And if you are running this job, right, then Microsoft will give you that system access, right? So this is known as integration runtime. So integration runtime is basically a platform. We call this as a platform where you can run the jobs, right? It's a platform. So if you are moving the data within the cloud, this is within the cloud, then an auto resolve integration, auto resolve IR is given by Azure. Is it making sense? But if you are taking the data from outside cloud, this auto resolve will not work, right? Then in that case, you have to set up a self-hosted integration runtime. Okay. So for example, if you have to take the data from SAP or any other database, you cannot do with the help of auto resolve IR. Okay. So I don't want to go in the complexity, otherwise it will, be more boring for you at this stage. Okay. So when we are going for integration runtime, you can see that this auto resolve IR is automatically up and running. Okay. So you need to click this because I make this enabled. But when you first time do that, you have to click here. You have to enable this. Okay, you have to go in this virtual network. Okay, this interactive authorization. Okay, you can enable, you can apply. Okay, or okay. So once you did that, it is showing the two of the link services which is connected with IR. Auto resolve IR, right? So whenever you run any job with the help of this link services, you can use this platform, or this platform, you can imagine that this is nothing but a PC given to you by Microsoft. Agreed? Where you can run a platform. Okay. So done. Now what we are going to do is we are going inside this author. Okay. Now the next step which we are going is step 4. We are going inside the pipelines. Create the pipelines. Create pipelines. Okay. And how to create this pipeline? We will click on this 3 dots. We will hit on this new pipeline. The properties will come. What I will do, I will, use this PL underscore sales data. Or I can see this is the, so I'm creating a pipeline for sales data. So that's why I mentioned this name. If you want to give any description, you can give any description like sales data input. Okay. Or let's not give the input, just mention sales data, right? Now here, if you click on this, just click once again so that property would be hidden. Now, now, now here are the interesting things we have. Okay. So if you want to create a pipeline, okay, let me erase this. Okay. So how to create a pipeline? This is the question. So pipeline can be created with the help of some components. So far, you have learned the components like link services and auto IR, auto resolve IR, right? So what are the other components we have to create? Okay, so other components are activities, other components are data sets, okay, and other components are pipelines, correct? These are the other components. And the same thing I have showed you in this one, right? So this information about data is your data set. Okay. So for example, if input is there, right? You have some, the sales data, right? So input is having some structure. So that structure is a data set actually, right? So we will go to that level. Okay. Let's first create this. So once you did this, okay, what you can do is you can, this is known as activities. So what you have to do, you have to do a copy activity. So we will start today with the copy activity. What do you mean by copy activity? So this activity will copy the data from source to destination, source to target. Okay. And what is your source? Source is my input container and target is my output container. Okay. Right now we are not doing any transformation because we are doing a simple case study. This is the first one. So we have drag and drop this copy activity. If we click on this, we can see there are settings like source, sync, and all. So I will, get it maximized. So you can, what you can do, you can just rename this copy sales data. Okay. Then the rest of the things you can remain, let it be like this. So timeout, what do you mean by timeout? If you want to read, you can read this as well. Okay. So this is a activity state. This is a timeout state. Okay. Okay, and this is retry. So maximum number of retry attempt, retry intervals, seconds. So I will go through all these things in a later. So first thing is source. So definitely if you are doing a copy activity, he will ask what I have to copy. I have to copy from what, right? So we need to create a source data set. So now you would be able to understand data set is nothing but a information related to data. So we have to create a data set. So how to create? We will click on this new. Okay. So step 5 is copy activity. And within copy activity, what we are going to do? We are going to create a data set. So what is data set? So think this way. You have an input container. You have an output container. Input container contains a CSV file, right? So this CSV file is actually a data set for you. Agreed? So you need to create, but this CSV file is of type ADLS Gen 2, right? So while creating a data set, you need to choose this as a ADLS Gen 2. So right now I'm creating a data set. So what I have to choose? ADLS Gen 2. So this is ADLS Gen 2. Is it clear, guys? So if you select the ADLS Gen 2, because this CSV file is stored in the input container is of type ADLS Gen 2, that's why we have chosen ADLS Gen 2. Now within the ADLS Gen 2, what kind of file it is? Is it an Excel? Is it in binary, JSON? It is a CSV basically. So we will select CSV and then we will continue. Then this is the name. So I will name this as a DS underscore sales data, right? And I will choose the link services. So this is the link services which I already created, right? Then I will choose the option with the help of browse. So this will give me the access of both the containers. So where I have to, where is the file locating? Input container. So I will choose input container and I will choose the file, right? So first row is header. That's why it is checked. And import schema from connection store. Why from connection store? Because we have created a link services and this CSV file will be able to fetch with the help of link services. It can be connected with the help of link services, right? That's why I am choosing from connection store, right? Okay. Now I will hit on OK. So you can see this, I am under the source. This is the data set it is created. If you want to preview the data, you can do that as well. If you hit on that, that will actually, try to fetch some data, some records, not all the records, and show it to you. So you can preview also like this. Okay, so you can see that this CSV which is available in your input container is having these many records, and this is the preview of a data. Correct? Okay. Now I am not going to touch anything else in this one. We will cover this when we are going in more advanced topics. Then I have to go into sync. Sync is nothing but where you have to store the data. Right? So again, I have to create a sync data set. Okay. So the concept is same. As per this screen, you can see you have created a link services. You have created a data set. This data set is for source, not for this sync. This is for source. Then in between you have a copy activity, which will tell you what action you are performing, right? You're performing, you're taking the data from source and moving it to sync. So again, for sync also, you need to have a data set created, right? So same thing we are creating here, sync, we hit on new, and again, what kind of storage it will be, because in output also, this output container is also within the storage account, and the storage account is of type ADLS Gen 2, right? So again, this data set for sync will also be of type ADLS Gen 2, right? So I'm going to choose ADLS Gen 2 once again and hit on continue. And again, I want to generate the file, store the file in CSV format only, right? So I have clicked on CSV and hit on this one. So I will rename this as DS underscore sales data or output. Okay, something like that. Or let's do this way out. This is the much relevant name. I can choose the only link services for ADLS Gen 2 is displaying here. Okay. Now here, because I'm generating a sync. So sync by default, it come as none. None means this is not going to read from anything, because this pipeline is not reading the file. This will push the file from source to sync. That's why it's none. Okay. Now I have to choose the file path. So I will browse this again this time, because I need to generate this file or copy this file from input to output. So I will choose output here. Okay. And within this output, okay, I can, I can click on OK. So this is the file. This is the file path. If I want to create any directory means subfolders within this output, I can name this. I can name this like a sales directory, right? Or if I want to give any file name also, I can do that, but I am leaving as it is because I want to copy the same file name. Okay. Then I will hit on OK. Till the time, okay, it's saying import failed, not found. Okay, there is some problem. Let me see what's the problem. Because I created and deleted, so let me try this. Okay, sorry. I by mistake I selected the first option. That's why it's saying import failed. Okay, so it should be none. Okay, so now sync dataset is also ready. And now this having some other options like copy behavior, maximum occurrent connection, block size, something like that, metadata. So we will be covering this in the later classes. Okay. Then we have a mapping. So in this mapping, do you know that mapping is also required? Because if you have something coming from input, okay, and you have to go to store the data in output, right? So input is having some list of columns, column 1, 2, 3. If you want to make any changes in those columns, you can do that in the mapping, right? But right now we are not using this. We will hit this button, import schema. So what it will do, it will automatically import the mapping. I can just expand it for you. Let me, okay. So this you can see, okay. This is your source, this is your destination. If you want to change any, if you want to rename anything, you can do that. If you want to change any data type, you can do that. For example, I can see that unit sold is a string. If I want to make it as a, you know, integer, we can do that. Unit prices also, if I want to make it as an integer, you can do that. Unit cost, you can make it an integer, you can do that, right? Total revenue, you can make it double. Okay, sorry. Okay, total cost, let's make it double. Total profit, let's make it double, or I think, yep. Oh, decimal is also there. Best thing is make it decimal. I don't know. I mean, I'm doing this, but in case if there is any incorrect data, then it might fail also. Okay. So that's all. The unit is integer. Other thing, this is date, right? So date should be date only, right? Date and time, or it should be date. Okay. Order ID. Okay, rest of the things looks good to me. If I want to change any name or rename, I can do that, but I am not doing this because this is more decent. Okay, so this is done. Now I can go for other settings, maximum data integration. So this is nothing but, auto IR. What is the maximum? Specify the maximum value of to be used, 4 to 256. So I will, take this again. Degree of copy parallelism. If you want to make it parallel, so automatically it will decide. But if you want to make some parallel things by our side, I can do that. Anyways, so I'm going to publish this now. Let me show you. So this is the thing. This button you can see if you want to debug anything. So this we will be using in later stage. I am going to publish this. I hit that, then I will hit this publish button. So I have created pipeline. I have created 2 data sets and I'm going to publish this. So this is deploying. Okay. So you can see, you can wait for some, this is completed. Now what I will do, I will hit on this debug option. So as soon as I hit on the debug option, the job will start. And you can see this job here. Okay. It is in the queued, it started. You can see duration also. You can see the logs also. So actually this is a JSON language. Okay. So this entire logs and everything you can see in the JSON. Okay. So if you want to just copy the JSON and see what it is doing, you can see what is source, what is sync. So whatever activity it is doing, it captured under the JSON. Okay, anyways, so I'm going to just refresh this. So there is no need to worry to see this JSON. Okay, so this is in progress. So in progress, if you want to see more details, you can see more details, what it is going on. So how much data is reading? This 124 KB of data is read. Okay, so far nothing is written. Okay, it's saying failed. Wait, why it is failed? Okay, it is failed because of same thing. I told you, right? That if data is incorrect, if I made any changes, it can fail also, right? So let me change the mapping once again. Okay, I'm importing once again and I'm making everything default now, and I'm going to publish once again, right? So best thing is when you are loading the data at initial stage, load as it is. And after that, you can do the transformations. Okay. Now I'm just debugging once again. Let me refresh. It's still in a queue, so it might take time, but it should not take so much of time. Okay. Okay, let me check. Oh, it started. It's completed. Okay. If you want to see, you can see that this entire data is now loaded from source to target. Okay. Now you can check this storage account. You have input, right? And you have, sorry, I just moved out. So if you check the output, you have a sales data folder which we have created. And if you go inside, this is the, again, this is in text format. Okay. Is it clear?